Hello, can you hear me?
Hey there, Greg.
Hey. So as usual, we have
Greg, you're lagging a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like a 56K connection or something. Your voice is like cutting in and out.
It might be worth
okay. I'm
using the Zoom phone number.
Okay. I'm driving back.
We have ceased to be able to understand you.
So, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Talk a little bit more so we can make sure we...
Okay. Well, how about this? Kelly, can you go ahead and give the tech update?
Sure, happy to. Hi, everyone. I am standing in for Meta today, who is on vacation, and we are wishing her well. And we'll give the update on the core development team's work on the RChain project. First and foremost, wanted to just say that our team is growing, and that by the end of this month, we will have added 3 new developers, and we'll be in a core development team of 15, along with our other community developers that we work closely with. So it's really good news, both for the growth of the team as well as for the work on the project. There's a lot of work to do. We are still hiring, and there are others in the pipeline as well as we move forward. I'm just going to beat the same drum that we try and beat every week. We are actively looking for system administrators to help support the launch of the testnet and mainnet. This is proving to be a little bit of a difficult position to hire. This is a person who is going to be very skilled in systems engineering and test infrastructure development and test implementation. If you are that person, if you know of that person, if you have ideas about channels that we may not be tapping into, we're all ears. So please don't hesitate you can reach me via email at kelly@pyrofex or through Discord. I'm at Kelly Foster. So any insight you have into helping us hire that position would be most appreciated. So from the rolling team, this team continues to work on developing features in the storage layer to support consensus. They've been working closely together over the course of this week, and these features would be features that are implemented in the release of Node 5 in late June. Mateusz has been working on refactoring of the interpreter to a tagless final style. That work is complete. He's very glad to get that off his plate and move on to working on implementing cryptography features. And finally, working on implementing logical connectives and enrolling the sorter and grammar have been updated, and work on the matcher is in progress. The Node team, Henry is still working on the prototype for the Merkle-Patricia tree, and is doing well on that and expecting to have that done this week. Implementation of TCP and communications is well underway. Metrics work is well underway as well, and that those features will be included in the release of Node 4 later this month. And then we are also working from an infrastructure standpoint on improving our continuous integration. Enhancements to that are to improve testing infrastructure for sure, as well as to just provide better support to a very busy dev team, and making sure that we have our build times are as quick as possible, and better support for concurrency, so we don't run into some issues that we've been realizing with Travis, where we just don't have the level of concurrency that we need to support the growing dev team. The Rosette team, last week at this time, we reported that research was in progress on how to re-architect the VM. The team met with Greg last week, and the real challenge here was that there was a constraint in the architecture that required the code to be purely functional, and the decision was made that the team couldn't find a way to translate that efficiently into a purely functional program, so they're going to relax a little bit that requirement and that constraint in a few select places within the VM. Opcode documentation has been completed and is available on the wiki if anyone's curious on looking at that. In other news, the developer website, so pleased to announce the publication of an interactive and improved Rolang tutorial. Many thanks to community members Thomas Shufflin for building the tutorial, and also for his collaboration with Hassan Fazil for their work on building the web-based Rolang compiler. So that was published just this morning. You're welcome to go to the developer site and take a look. But what's really interesting about it is it brings in the tutorial as well as that web-based compiler for Rolang, so that you can really experience all of those exercises in a very real and interactive way. So excited to share that. As always, you can find information about releases and documentation on the site. And then later today, we will be adding to that site information about the next developer conference, RCon 3. And on that site, you'll be able to see when it's coming, September 3 through 6, if you'd like to mark your calendars. September 3 and 4 will be invitation only, and then September 5 and 6 will be public days. If you're curious about this conference, if you're thinking about this conference is absolutely for you if you're interested in becoming a validator. Content in this conference, along with workshops, will make sure that you have everything that you need to know and the skills that you need to do to be a successful validator. Additionally, this conference is for dApp developers. Please do come with your ideas and your questions. This is a really unique opportunity to have a very easy access to the core development team of the RChain platform, and will be a great opportunity to network with others who are developing on the platform. Additionally, if you're curious about ongoing research related to blockchain technology and the RChain platform, this is also the place to be. We will be including new members of the new RChain research group will be part of the presentation content, as well as members of the group that are there. And so that's a great opportunity if you're interested in research to come in and learn more and to become part of that community. And then finally, the other component of this conference is to really rehearse and prepare for the launch of Mercury in December, so that we will be launching testnet at this conference, and doing it in a way that shows a practice version of what that really will look like in December. We will also be doing a demo of what that rock rev swap might look like in December, and then finally, it gives people who are there the opportunity to participate in key signing parties as we prepare to make it validate and to secure for ready for launch in December. So information about that will be on the developer website. We are very excited to welcome everyone to that event in September. Finally, I would also like to add that we are planning the program. There is a survey that is currently live, and through the May 20th, you're welcome to provide your feedback there. We have some ideas of things we're thinking about, and would certainly like to collect other feedback if you have other ideas. We would very much like this to be a conference that is meaningful to the community, and in order to do that, we need your feedback. So I'll post that link here in the chat window in just a minute. And then if you are looking to participate in the event, the registration will open in June. So I will pause here. Does anybody have any questions about what the developers are working on, or where we're going in the near future? Excellent. Well, thank you for your time. Always a pleasure to talk with you. And Greg, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Kelly. Actually, I just wanted to say, was there a conference planning meeting yesterday? Because if there was, I was double booked and I didn't see it until.
Yeah, there was. We recognized as it came about that you weren't going to be able to make it. We did use the time well, though, and so I'll follow up with you on the outcomes of that conversation.
Awesome. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm very excited about the conference, and I think everyone has been amazing, just completely impressed with the way you guys have organized these things. So looking forward to this. Awesome. So I think probably the best thing to do is also to turn it over to Reflective and get an update from them. Are they on?
Yeah, Greg, you've got Greg Heiss is here. I'm on Steve's phone.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Can you give us an update?
Yeah, I can. Well, first of all, I'd like to say we're in New York. We're at Blockchain Week, and we're actually sitting in our offices in New York. It's the first time the whole team has been together, so we've got offices down by Penn Station, so that's pretty cool. We've got 7 of us in here right now. Good things are happening at the conference. Kevin had a good speech that he did during the blockchain week. So he hit that over in Brooklyn. Last night, we had a reflective RChain event. We were kind of talking about the whole revolution concept that I'll get into more with the community in the coming weeks. But we had about 175 people that came to that. So we packed the house, a lot of great talk and activity around RChain from the attendees at that event. So that was a really good time. For some of the things that are happening at Consensus, I know the team has been talking to a lot of enterprise players and a lot of big projects. So we'll have more news following up on that. We also have struck a deal with the Harvard Blockchain Group. So similar to what we're kind of doing on a much smaller scale with the Berkeley guys. So we're definitely pushing that forward to the different universities across the country. So that's been going really, really well. A little bit of an announcement. We got our website up finally. So I encourage people to take a look at it. There's also an intake form on there for any of the companies that are looking to seek an interest from us. So that's at reflectiveventures.io. So please take a look at that and give us your thoughts. And other than that, since I'm with the whole team, I will turn it over to them. Is there anything else that I'm missing, guys? Last week, I may have mentioned that we put in strategic partnership and investment into Open and Witnet. I think some of you probably have met the Witnet guys. They were out in Boulder. Great company coming in from Spain. So I think we talked a little bit about them. Is there anything else, guys, that we have?
No, just that the pipeline. Renell here. Just that the pipeline continues to be very, very robust. We have about, I think, 9 SPAs out right now, and we're just going through the back and forth with legal. But there's a bunch of deals that should close in the coming couple of weeks.
That's awesome. That's really good news. Yeah. I mean, to that end, I should also mention that I'm really excited about the kind of the ecosystem. I mean, it's not just that you guys are closing deals, but that the companies that you're closing deals with are and other RChain companies are also starting to work together. I had a really, really good conversation with Chris Boscolo yesterday. We really, I mean, for me, it was like a meeting of minds. Both of us have kind of been down in the trenches for a long time on self-sovereign identity. And he's really up to speed on he and his crew are up to speed on what's been happening in the industry. But I talked to him, from the kind of first principles solutions that I came up with, and there was a real simpatico. We were able to sort of see the value in both approaches. And the nice thing is that it looks like the namespace approach is just going to work perfectly with the DIDs. So that was exciting. And then I want to maybe we don't have to go deep right now, but maybe we can go deep at the end of the call. I really want to sort of put a call out there to talk a little bit about what I see as a long-term identity solution, and how that fits with what we're seeing across the industry. So talk a little bit more about that. But the reason I'm mentioning all of that is because I think that Life ID has already started to do business with Resonate and other companies that have been in the reflective camp. I'm excited to see that you guys are so open and welcoming of Life ID and other companies.
Yeah, Greg. Hey, this is Kevin here. To that point, Life ID was at the event last night, and there were so many synergies with at least 4 companies that they're going to be connecting with. And it was a great opportunity to really evangelize RChain and what we're doing, and to really plug them into sort of like the broader ecosystem as it relates to this whole decentralized movement. So spot on what you're talking about, and it was actually very timely.
Oh, that's good news. That's really good news. I'm glad to hear that. Very good. Do you guys have any word about I know Resonate's preparing to do some kind of offering. Do you have anything that you can say about that?
Yeah, I can, Greg. So it's Greg again. In talking with Peter, so we were originally scheduled to go out early in the summer, and then with August being, as we all know, a big holiday in Europe, Peter smartly decided, I believe, to push it out until September. And I think we're going to time it around the big event, which I think will be even bigger when we're all there in the first week of September. That's tentative. Don't hold me to that. I don't want to speak for Peter, but that's what we've been talking about.
That's that gives me a warm and fuzzy feeling.
We aim to do that, Greg.
Well, I mean, I think that's a really, really awesome move, and I think it's gonna fit together nicely. That's good news. Peter is out here visiting his family, and it's fortuitous. We had an event scheduled with Gervin, so we're so people should understand that we are kicking off a brand quest, a branding exercise with Gervin, the people that we have hired to do to work with the community to help get a really high quality branding solution. Unfortunately, the timing has been a little bit off. So we do have Ian Bloom out here, which we're excited about. But it looks like Jonathan, who's been spearheading this, has taken ill. He at our request, he hightailed it out to New York and then was supposed to be back this Thursday, but he's caught the flu. And then on top of that, we haven't been able to secure, we just didn't have enough lead time to secure time with the developers to be a part of this. And it looks like you guys are also out at Consensus. And so the timing for this is a little off. So I think what will happen is we'll have just kind of an initial a pre-session with Gervin with just myself and Kenny and Peter and Ian, and then we'll have the full-on 6-hour brand quest session after the 28th. And that will give everyone because we really need all the stakeholders to be there. So I think that's probably going to be the best way to do it. So we don't want to lose the opportunity since we've got Ian out here. But by the same token, I think we really need the full complement of stakeholders in order to make this I think a fruitful exercise.
Good. Thanks, Greg, for that. And if Jonathan's listening, tell us your hotel. We'll get some chicken soup over to him. We're all here.
That's a great idea. That's the RChain community for you. That's awesome. Okay, so moving right along, we have just a little bit of difficulty. We've been, as some people know, we've been in negotiations with Pythia for quite some time to restructure the deal. And over the last 2 weeks, we restructured the deal between Pythia and the cooperative. And over the last 2 weeks, we've hit a bit of a snag. And so things have stalled, and we're hoping that they get back on track. But the community needs to know that there's been a hiccup in the process, and we really, really hope that things can get back on track. But it hasn't been the kind of it hasn't made the kind of progress that the co-op or the board would have hoped would have happened. So we can. As we get more details about this, we'll make sure that the community is apprised. But currently, their relationship is a little fraught, and we're hoping to clean that up as soon as possible. But people really have to be aware that that's what's going on, and this is our obligation to the co-op membership and to all the stakeholders here in the space. So let me pause there. We had a lot of information that we put out over the last few minutes. So does anybody have any questions about the reflective, the branding exercise, or the negotiations with Pythia?
I think it's fascinating to note that every single Pythia employee except myself has been kicked off of this call. So I'd like to put it out there to the cooperative that Pythia has attempted to continue to be involved, yet we have been restrained by other members. We actually have a very large announcement to make in the signing of Digital Town yesterday. So if anyone would like to give me the airtime, I would be happy to share about that, since it is, I believe, the first publicly held company signed to the RChain platform.
Go ahead. Listen.
So Digital Town will be digitizing cities. They have an excellent and very user-friendly wallet, which allows for instantaneous conversion amongst multiple currencies that will allow.
What happened?
Until we have a proper legal relationship with Pythia, we can't have them engaged in the call. It's just the relationship is simply too fraught. Once there is a proper legal relationship between the two entities, we're happy to welcome them back.
Is it that the cooperative is backing out of the deal with Pythia?
Can you say that again, Jim? I couldn't hear you.
Is it that the cooperative is backing out of the deal with Pythia?
No. We've had a deal, a restructured deal on the table for quite some time, and we do hope that they will sign it, and we can get back on track.
I would be also clear that there's not a whole lot of specificity that we can give at this time, just because this is an ongoing thing. So we have to sort of stick to just the facts as well. So, like Greg said, we're here to answer questions, but any specific questions that can't, we have to be very clear about just what is happening and only the facts.
That's exactly right. So currently we are still in active negotiation, and we do hope that Pythia is able to respond on the negotiations. We have not yet had a response from them, and as soon as they are able to respond to our satisfaction, then we're more than happy to welcome them back.
Yeah, Greg, David here. And Kenny, the other thing that needs to be emphasized is because there is a minimum difference here between co-op and Pythia, even starting to get into any detail relative to the facts is not advisable at this point.
That's exactly right, which is why we have to take this approach with respect to the call.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I apologize for saying go ahead.
No worries. Not a problem. I mean, again, we want to respect the principle of radical transparency. In this particular case, we want to be as transparent as possible, as soon as we can be transparent, because we know the facts. Right now, we're in active negotiation, and we hope to know the facts as soon as possible. All right, Jonathan, you're on the call. How are you feeling?
Pretty horrible.
No, I'm sorry.
I've been battling this bronchitis that I keep thinking is gone, and then I get back to work and I fly, and then all of a sudden I get whooped again. So I'm holed up in a hotel, highly contagious, I think, near JFK.
Well, you should let the reflective team know where you are. They want to send over some comfort food.
Thanks.
Yeah. So hopefully we can get a hold of Gervin, and it'll be we can reschedule.
Yeah, I've already pinged Jennifer and Tim, and they were very understanding and chill about it.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Okay, so
I see Alan's hand is up.
oh, Alan, go for it.
Hi, thanks, guys. I want to just take 1 second to mention that the bounty program still exists. We're talking about how to increase visibility and transparency from all the different stakeholders within the cooperative. We're talking about guides and lead guides and different bridges to members of the community. So I just wanted to share that, and thanks.
Okay, cool. Any specifics on that?
I'd prefer to keep most of the specifics till we can have a more coherent presentation. But Ian Bloom has been working very hard. Dan Connolly has been working very hard. HJ has been working very hard. And we're trying to build these bridges so that everybody knows what each other is doing and we can be a little bit more organized about it. I'd also like to thank Patrick, I think it was, who provided the session with the HUM. That's been very influential in our thinking, and I think that's going to be useful for the entire cooperative as we try to move toward our decentralized collective intelligence, which we need and we are working on bringing about.
Yes, absolutely. And we're working on, I think we're working on the human aspects of it. Hopefully, I think we are. But the new teams is actually creating an interface. Where to go? Opened in another tab. Oh, great.
Don't worry about it, Jim. We can take your time and get it set up, and then at the end of the call we can talk about that. Yeah, no worries.
The idea is that the guides will review issues with certain labels, and we're creating a table where they can review their the status of the reviews process on an issue, so that they can cooperate and exhaustively police it, because policing the bounty system is something that people are doing, but it wears people out. So by spreading around the responsibility to guides for particular labels in the GitHub system, we can get trust. We can have trust built in terms of our connections of guides and guides of guides and the prospective stakeholders in the community into the activities that are connected, related.
Thanks, Jim. I was wondering if anyone else could speak. Was there anyone else on the call who had a chance to participate in the HUM effort, or if Alan, if you participated, if you can talk a little bit about what your experience was. I was
so my experience is actually a little bit something that I want to share with the community. Somehow, a lot of us are rooted in previous these hierarchical systems. Jim just now mentioned the word policing. There's a lot of language around what is oversight and what is visibility, what is transparency, and what is accessibility. And we're trying to move to models where we're talking more about not only making things radically transparent, but making them transparent in the sense that stakeholders that come from different backgrounds, might be speaking different languages, can really understand what's going on, even though the things might be being spearheaded by different people. So developers and lawyers might need to talk. People who are from a background in management, people from backgrounds in writing. This is the kind of community that we're trying to bring to the cooperative, and we're we're trying to build not only the technical structures, but also the community structures that will enable the kind of cooperative intelligence that we're striving for. I do encourage.
Can you speak more specifically to what about the hum? Like, what was your actual experience? Like, what did you see? What did you hear? What did you write or
What does
receive?
HUM stand for?
Yeah.
It's the name of their organization.
Thank you. So let me undertake to speak to one of their patterns each week. The HUM, as an organization, what they've done is they've been involved with various cooperatives, most of them not technology-based, but many, many, many different cooperatives and collective organizations. They have a lot of experience seeing how things work in actual practice. And they've listed a number of patterns, 10 patterns, and I just want to share one of them today. And I'm not going to say very much because it's, to me, more of a meditative pattern. The pattern is that if you want to work in a group of 1 million people, you start by working on your relationship with one other person at a time. And it's kind of an exponential koan. You start in a group of 2, and then that informs you to working in a group of 4 and 8 and so on. But it all comes down to how we're able to interact and empathize with each other. Kelly, thanks for posting that. I would certainly recommend that video to everybody. Bill, Kenny, a lot of our members participated. There's a follow-on. It was very, very interesting to relate the experience that Rich and that the people from the HUM were able to, and Maddie were able to bring in the context of our own experience here. For me, a lot of it just rings very, very, very true. See it happening every day. And I'm very optimistic about how this will affect us and our ability to work collaboratively in these much, much larger groups than have been successful, that have been able to before, because of the technological foundation of the RChain platform.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Alan. I really appreciate that. I really had hoped to work to be part of those meetings. Just the timing didn't work out.
I'm sure that over the long term we will all be. These are great folks, and we're great folks within our cooperative. And the experiences that the people from the HUM have experienced, we'll all be experiencing as we work together.
Excellent. That's good news. And we'll be expanding that. So this is also a segue. Ayla Kegel has been making good progress. She's already lined up a number of the pieces for the formation of the Genossenschaft. So we've already got council lined up in that part of the world, and we're starting to push through the paperwork. They've engaged a translator so that the co-op's bylaws and articles are being translated into German as the foundation for the corresponding Genossenschaft based in Berlin, and to be the hub of our European presence, sort of on the ground European presence. So we're very excited about that. That group is obviously working closely with Peter Harris. Ayla came to us through Peter Harris of Resonate, and also we have Tim Bansimer and his team on the ground. So they're also going to be helping with the formation of that and making sure that hub sort of has a larger European presence. To that end, Tim has put in a proposal which we've approved to support to have RChain present at a blockchain governance forum or a conference that's happening in September as well. So the RCon butts up right against the Berlin RCon is right up against that blockchain decentralized governance conference where RChain will have a presence. So it's going to be a fairly extended presence in Europe as a part of making sure that we can properly support and kick off the RChain Europe. It's also going to be a kind of extended marketing effort on our part, because we'll be at Burning Man on the 26th of August through probably the like the 30th of August or 31st of August, and then or there'll be some presence at Burning Man. I don't know that I'll be there for that many days, but there'll be some presence at Burning Man, RChain presence at Burning Man up through the 31st of August, and then we hop over to the RCon in Berlin on the 3rd through the 6th, and then right after that is the blockchain governance conference, where RChain is partially sponsoring, and where RChain will have a presence. So this is a part of an extended marketing effort to make sure that there's a contact, with thought leadership in Silicon Valley, who are typically all at Burning Man, and then moving over to support the development of the Genossenschaft and RChain Europe. We're still very much open, and I would like to start to have a series of meetings around how to organize and orchestrate a natural mutual relationship between RChain US and RChain Europe. In particular, we've been very lucky that there's a natural relationship between RChain and Pyrofex, where we need each other to succeed. There's a similar kind of a natural relationship between RChain and Reflective and the other companies that RChain has been supporting. And so what we want to do is to find that natural sort of organic set of interdependency between RChain US and RChain Europe, so that the RChain Europe can be its own autonomous organization, stand on its own 2 feet, but at the same time, need RChain US and vice versa. One obvious example is if we look at the sharding solution that is on the table. It could be that RChain Europe is helping to shepherd a particular European set of regions for validators, whereas RChain US is doing a similar thing either for the US or for North America. So that's a clear set of mutual interdependencies that can support, can provide this basis for autonomous but mutually supporting relationships. But we really need to tap into the collective intelligence to help find other things that will create that bond between the two organizations. So let me stop there and just and part of the reason I mentioned that is also the kinds of communication techniques that Alan was talking about is of course going to be supportive of that as well. But we really we should all put our heads together about that. So let me stop there and just check in and see if people understood what I was saying.
Is the RChain co-op going to give rocks to RChain Europe?
Yeah, that's the idea. Is that we'll fund them, we'll get them started, and then it's kind of up to them to keep going. Yeah. So there's a clear set of concerns around governance, and that's why we need this set of mutual interdependencies between the two organizations.
Has there been any thought to who you would like to see on the board, or is that just way too far out to even contemplate?
No, for sure. We absolutely have been thinking about that. So I'll give you an example. I have a colleague that I've known since the early 2000s, Steve Ross Talbot. In many ways, so Steve Ross Talbot is a citizen of the UK. In many ways, Steve was like my European counterpart. So at the same time that I was promoting the pi calculus and the mobile process calculi in general as a basis for internet scale smart contracting back in the early 2000s, and that was from within Microsoft pushing towards industry standards. Steve Ross Talbot was doing something similar in the W3C and then pushing out to fintech industry. So he was he worked with a lot of the same academic community that I worked with. In particular, he had a close relationship with Nobuko Yoshida and her husband, her now deceased husband, Kohei Honda, and they worked quite a lot on informing the WS choreography standard coming out of the W3C with the mobile process calculi. And in many ways, a lot of the work on session types, of which there have been, many award-winning PhDs published, grew out of that industry effort. So Steve is a natural fit, in my opinion, for the Board of Europe. He's effectively a European citizen, Brexit or not, and he gets the space, and he has the scope of the vision that we've been driving towards. I mean, he understands what we've been aiming towards for the last several decades, and has the kind of tenacity and perseverance that we need for these kinds of organizations.
Greg, I have another question. Will only Europeans be voting to put on Europeans on the German co-op, or would U.S. or other people who hold rocks also be able to contribute votes? Because isn't that the process that we went through last year? We all voted for who to be on the board. Do you follow what I'm saying?
I absolutely follow. And this is what I was saying about tricky governance issues. This is an important set of questions that we're going to have to sort through together. We're going to have to think this through collectively. So it could be that we allow for the memberships to be overlapping, and that's a natural thing. We could have that you can only spend your vote in one place. So, for example, if we had a tokenized voting system, then that would enable people to, sort of only have so much voting capacity, and they could spend it, in the regions where they had the most at stake, where they felt they needed to put their vote. That's another example of one way that we could figure this out. So again, we're gonna, this is ongoing work. This is ongoing deliberation, and I, to me, I think this is one of the most awesome opportunities. How do we devise the governance models which enable these autonomous organizations to cooperate? So they stand on their own 2 feet, and they also cooperate, just like we do at the individual level. Individuals need to stand on their own 2 feet and cooperate, and it's because of both capacities that we succeed. So we need to see that at the organizational level as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Great. Yep, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Greg, I have just one remark, which is that one of the goals of our blockchain technology is to break down the role of geography, the tyranny of geography that we've grown up with. And we also like face-to-face, and we also like closeness, physical closeness. So there's a little bit of tension between calling this European co-op and just making sure that we don't recreate geographical boundaries at the same time as we're trying to create diversity.
You know, I wholeheartedly hear you. So the reality is that regardless of geographic and cultural diversity, there really is jurisdictional diversity, and in order to be mindful of the jurisdictional realities on the ground, we have to have these kind of
So right? I agree with that as well. And maybe we need a language that emphasizes the jurisdictionality and possibly de-emphasizes geography in that.
Well, so I again, I hear you. I really relish the difference between the Cascades and the Olympics and the Alps. Yep. They're different. They feel different. They have a different quality, and so I appreciate that diversity, and likewise I appreciate the diversity that we like. For example, the Europeans have a very long tradition of co-op, successful cooperatives, and I want to take advantage of that. I want to be able to turn our local differences into a source of enrichment.
I think what Alan is pointing to is that if you're a member of an RChain co-op, that's this is your home address in your state, but any member of any RChain cooperative is a member of the cooperative of RChain cooperatives.
Yeah, I absolutely hear you. I totally see where you're coming from, and these are the kinds of things that I think we want to wrestle with and engage with in a playful way, and to find a governance model that's going to be satisfying here. And to that end, I now want to just shift focus a little, ever so slightly, and start to socialize an idea that's kind of gathering some steam with a lot of people that I've talked to. I believe that it's going to be important that RChain cooperative, the cooperative of cooperatives, as Jim put it, should be supporting physical spaces. In other words, I think we should have our own buildings, our own meeting places, a network of physical spaces that where co-op members can come together and work together and be able to hash things out. And I think the more I look at this, I think there's a way in which this becomes exceptionally profitable for the membership, but it's not about the profit. I mean, I guess all I'm saying is that sometimes getting involved in real estate can be seen as a large operational expense, and we've up until the purchase of this building, we've minimized our operational costs in order to focus as much as resources as possible on development. But now that things are really moving in a very clearly positive direction, I think we have to look out towards the future, not just in terms of the research and the exciting intellectual aspects of research, but out towards the future in terms of what's going to support the kind of cooperative governance that we want to see happen. And I think meeting face to face, working side by side, shoulder to shoulder, is part of what makes that happen. And so having physical spaces, not limited to the office spaces that we have here in Seattle now, but really a network of these around the world, I think will go a long way to creating the kind of community and cooperation that we want to see. I would really welcome discussion here now, also in Discord and over the next few months. My aim is to try to put together a solid proposal about in the middle of the Venus development cycle. So in terms of the big picture for the series of events between now and Mercury, we're launching a fairly large marketing effort. I think you'll start to see some of the fruits of that labor very, very quickly. And that then coincides with the release of Mercury. So first we have testnet, and then very shortly after that, we have Mercury launched. And then from that point forward, we're going to be heads down on Venus, and while at the same time managing the nascent network, right? So we can be assured that there will be hiccups. We can be assured that the network will endure attack after attack after attack, and so we have to be prepared that right after we go live, that the RChain network is going to be out in the world, and because there are many resources flowing through it, it will be it will have to show its robustness. But then in terms of the larger scale and scope of events, when we roll into Venus, there are a number of features that we want to see. One of which, of course, is the completion of the vision of the behavioral types, as well as some other basic features and functions, both for Rolang and for the node. So that's kind of the software lay of the land. I think concomitant with that, we have to step it up in terms of how we come together and how we're able to coordinate each other. So the aim is this year we have at least RChain Europe, and hopefully by early next year we have RChain Asia open. So that gives us at least 3 jurisdictions, which is kind of bare minimum to survive. We should probably have 2 more, but that's a beginning. And then once we have those, by middle of next year, I think we want to see a solid plan in place for how to roll out a network of physical spaces. And I think this can be super, super fun, designing these and then making it so that RChain members from RChain Europe can have free and easy access to the spaces in RChain North America, for example. But I want to start socializing this idea, getting people, thinking about what we could do if we had spaces on the ground where we could come together on a regular basis. So, any questions about kind of that picture of how things might unfold?
I don't know. I just think about something recently. I mean, Google and Facebook have they have like campuses all over the world. But like, I'm also struck by like the news really very recently, like a bunch of employees in Google are quitting because of like outright defense contracts with the US military. do you ever like foresee the co-op ever getting engaged with any type of military or like paramilitary organizations? Because that's as physical. Yeah, that's like ground level game. You know what I mean? It's like life or death situations.
I absolutely hear you, and I how do I say this? I think we want to steer as clear from those kinds of activities as we possibly can. I think we're the technology is going to become such a force that it's very unlikely that we won't be approached by a lot of different organizations and entities, including, for example, the NSA. I think it's going to be exceptionally unlikely, but I believe that our aims are clear, right? We want to provide coordination models that enable us to work together to handle the oncoming changes, and so we're forward looking, working with some of these interfacing with the incumbent and legacy organizations is a necessity, but it's not the direction that we're aiming, if that makes sense.
Yep, it does.
Cool. So we have about 2 minutes left. Just a quick reminder, we have beginning May 28th, there's a series of lectures, there's a course that begins Introduction to the Design of Computational Calculi. There are 12 seats, and I think all but 2 of them have been taken. If you want to participate, you need to send me an email to lgreg.meredith@gmail.com with the title Introduction to the Design of Computational Calculi. If it has a different title, when I do a search on my email for those for emails, it won't come up. So if people are interested, they really have to have that exact subject line. And then in it, I need to know who you are, why you wish to attend, and what is your aim. These talks will be recorded and made available as a part of our online curriculum and as a part of our general educational materials. But really, we're expecting the participants who engage to walk away. They come away from the course. The minimum is that they can demonstrate the capacity to design their own computational calculi. And so that's the aim of the course in general. That's the overall aim. And I'm very excited. We've got some very, very sharp people already signed up, and it should be a lot of fun. There's no particular technical requirement, but for people who do come in who don't have a technical background, my request is that you take the time to partner with someone who has a more technical background, partner with someone in the course, actively in the course, who can support the technical part and help, so that people help each other get up to speed. So with that,
hey Greg.
Yeah.
A quick request from Karen Moskowitz. She wanted to make sure that it was announced in this debrief that an official formal values and principles poll has been launched in Discord in a polling channel, and this will be going to Gervin because, in addition to, of course, branding all of the RChain technologies and all of our technical value propositions, there will also be some attention paid to various values and principles in the branding effort. So if you're on Discord, please go vote. and also let other folks know that they can vote there.
Awesome. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And that's a perfect note to end on. Values and principles. Awesome, guys. See you next week. Just a quick reminder. I leave on Saturday for Reykjavik. I will be working only half-time from the 20th through the 25th, but I will be on the Hangout as well as on the Dev Hangout and other meetings that I have regularly scheduled on my calendar. But if I'm slow over the next week, it's slow to respond. It's because I'm only working half-time during that time. Thanks again, guys. Look forward to next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.